Right. So nice to see you all, folks. My name is Chanel. I am a community organizer and coordinator of Solarize Anchorage with the Alaska Center. And at the Alaska Center, we work to advance a clean energy future through policy and community projects like this. I'm also joined today by Mitch and Amanda, community leaders here in Girdwood, Chris and Jessica, selection committee volunteers, and Ben and Chase, representatives from Alaska Solar, who you heard from, and who we'll continue to hear from later. So first, thanks for everyone for being here and showing up. I'd really like to open the space by naming that we're all in Dena'ina territory and we're using their resources to live and work. This means it's our responsibility to ensure that Dena'ina Uliashi, or the Dena'ina way of living, is still possible while we're on their lands. As such, a transition to renewable energies will play a really key component, and there's no better way to start than with our homes, our businesses, and our local communities. That said, let's jump right in. Solarize is a grassroots campaign. We bring neighbors together to invest in solar. And it works to make solar energy more accessible and affordable for homeowners, property owners, by eliminating 3 market barriers: cost, complexity, customer inertia. First, we reduce high upfront costs through a group purchasing volume discount program, i.e., because your community joins together to purchase over one summer from one installer, you're all able to secure a volume discount on your individual arrays. So you'll get bulk purchasing discounts on top of incentives already in place, like the federal tax credits and net metering. Second, we reduce complexity. Usually, for a lot of people like myself, a solar purchase seems like a really daunting and complex decision that involves choices like what inverter efficiency does this have, PV modules, an optimal array tilt. It can be really dizzying. Even choosing between contractors can be an overwhelming task for those not technically inclined. And by having a selection committee from your neighborhood choose the installer that reflects your community's values and priorities, this turns investing into solar a yes or no question. Third, with customer inertia, because this is a limited time program, it cuts down the decision-making process from 2 years to 3 to 6 months over a summer. With the tiered pricing structure that is needed from this program, it needs a limited time frame so a threshold can be achieved and final pricing can be finalized. This provides further incentive and like an easier decision-making process. So let's talk about past campaigns. Solarize Anchorage started in 2018 at Airport Heights with AK Solar as the first installer. It was intentionally kept smaller to ensure success. Once we knew this program was successful here in Anchorage, we continued on to 4 neighborhoods in the next year in South Addition, Rogers Park, Turnagain and Spenard, and then 5 neighborhoods with 4 programs in 2020. Of all of these programs, Alaska Solar has been chosen for 7 so far. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that this was a community-led program, and it's stewarded by 3 committees of volunteers from the community itself to ensure that it's like reflective of the community it's from. It starts first with the steering committee, 2 volunteers who do initial outreach to see if there's invested interest in the community, like 50 contacts who are like, yeah, I want to see this happen. Then once that's established, we lay out community-specific timeline, campaign, and an RFP. Now, the 2 campaign leads from your area are Mitch Roth and Amanda Sassy, and I want to give them some time to like chat about who they are and why they wanted this program. Let's start first with Mitch. Mitch, are you ready?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm the co-chair for Solarize Girdwood, along with Amanda Sassy. And I moved to Girdwood 10 years ago. That was after 30 years in Fairbanks, where I was a professor at UAF. Promoting renewable energy and reducing greenhouse emissions is a longtime passion of mine. And when I heard about the success of the Solarize Anchorage programs, I realized this was something that we could do and that we should do here in Girdwood. And so since I've become involved, it's really been wonderful to see the support for the initial sign up. And now that it's happening, I'm so excited to see everybody who's here today to learn more about how to bring solar to Girdwood. And I'll throw it over to Amanda to let her say why she became involved.
Thanks, Mitch. I'm Amanda Sassy. I've been living and working in Girdwood for 10 years as well. And I've always been interested in reducing my carbon footprint. I finally am in a place where I can put solar up on our house, and I'm really excited to be moving forward with this project this summer. Girdwood is an amazing place to live and work, and I'm stoked to be able to help bring renewable energy systems to the valley with my friends and neighbors, all you guys, because together we can reduce emissions, make Girdwood more green, and make renewable energy more affordable. So thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you both. Without these two, this program wouldn't exist in Girdwood. Just want to be very clear about that. Once a campaign plan is laid out by both Amanda and Mitch, we develop an RFP informed by them, and firms reply with whether or not they want to help service the area. After that, an interview and selection committee evaluates these bids and then scores them and selects an installer. For your community, this was Chris Kemp, Jessica Saslag, sorry, Jessica, Marco Zaccaro, and Kirk Hossel. I would like to open space for Chris. Chris, are you able to speak now?
Yeah, I am. Thank you, Chanel. The reason I joined the committee is because I have experience as an owner of solar cell that I just put in last year. And I thought that in making this decision, in deciding what a contractor to go with and where to put it on my house, and some of the effort I went through, I thought I had some good experience to bring to the table in terms of selecting a contractor to do our work here in Girdwood. We selected Alaska Solar because we felt that they were very good at what they do. They have extensive experience and they have a great technical background. We made our decision to go with Alaska Solar because they presented us with a well-organized proposal, and they had lots of experience, remote locations, and their sensitivity and they also had a special sensitivity to Girdwood's unique climate and logistical challenges. So our selection committee made Alaska Solar decision, and we do that with confidence in that Alaska Solar will work hard for you in completing our solar projects here in Girdwood.
Thank you very much. And next, I'd like to hear from Jessica. Are you available?
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Zelag. I was on the interview committee, and I'm a property owner in Girdwood. And I think maybe one of the reasons that I was brought into the interview panel is I actually know very little about what it takes to install solar. I've been interested in thinking about doing it on my house, but this was kind of a unique opportunity that it was great to be brought in the process and review all of the applications. And I thought that Alaska Solar also was the strongest application, just in their pricing and their approach and being really customer driven. I thought that for a size of our community like ours, and based on the other projects that they've worked on, that it would be a really good fit for Girdwood. And I think it's an exciting opportunity for all of us to kind of streamline what we've been thinking, if we've been thinking about solar on our homes, and realized this group discount through the purchase through Alaska Solar, and then just the timeline of having their crews on site throughout the summer to do assessments and be brought into this whole program together with municipalities. So it was a great experience. I learned a lot about the technology, and yeah, I'm ready to go forward with it.
All right. Thank you, Jessica and Chris. They spent like weeks reading through proposal after proposal and trying to think of what would be best for the community. So really appreciate that. And then finally, in outreach, this team just makes sure that everybody in the community will know about the opportunity now available for them. This is a visual to understand the general timeline I spoke about before, stewarded by these committees. We are currently in months 4 through 6, where we're in community outreach. Registration is open. We do education workshops just like this, and homeowners and business owners can get site assessments and then further go on to contracts with the installer. This is a timeline for the rest of your opportunity for enrollment. So right now we're in the March through August, registration is open. We're currently in April 14th, informational. Moving forward, we'll have one event per month. So you can invite your friends to the May 15th Q&A at 1 p.m. if they're missing out right now. And then installation will begin in June. Complimentary site assessments are available right now for everyone to get a personalized view on how solar might work for them. August 6th is the deadline for enrollment, and then the construction phase is completed by October, and we have an end celebration. With that, I would like to say that was a lot of information, but in the end, this is just about the people in your community and doing good for our neighbors. There's over 275 people who have participated in Solarize programs throughout the municipality, and you can be one of them. You can join in with them, so to speak. And that's all thanks to these volunteers that you've heard from that really care about the breadth of Girdwood. With that, thanks for listening to me. That's my time. I'm gonna pass it on to Ben. Ben May of Alaska Solar. Are you ready?
I am ready. Hi all. Truly heartwarming. Wow. Thanks to the Alaska Center. The Alaska Center for Energy and Power is also in the background doing a lot of work reviewing the technical merits. They deserve a lot of credit. And thank you to community of Girdwood and the folks that are working hard to make this happen from the community perspective. This is great. I love Solarize campaigns. They match what we are about. We want to see more people able to put more solar on their roofs, and Solarize does that. And that's why we have striven to be part of many of them, and why we have been fairly successful in gathering neighborhoods together and being the contractor. So just a little bit about Alaska Solar. I started the company in 2016. That was about the time that solar panels became inexpensive enough that people could meet or beat the stock market by putting solar on their roof. And I went, oh man, this could work. And before that, it was considered ridiculous. And it's been an amazing journey. We doubled, quadrupled, and then doubled each in 3 years in terms of number of installs. And people started installing bigger and bigger solar systems as well. And so that became, it's been extremely gratifying and very affirming that this can work, and it can work for people. And so I will leave a lot of the details to Chase, but I just wanted to say that for Girdwood to do this is very near and dear to my heart. The reason I worked in renewables for 7 years in wind, and then now in solar by starting this company for the last 6 years, is I want to make the biggest dent I can in climate change and make the biggest dent I can in carbon footprint. One of the reasons for that is I want to keep being a skier, and Girdwood is very important. And it's, I think for people in Girdwood, skiing is a lot of the reason they're there. And so to keep our winters, that's an actual campaign, is extremely important to me. I'm glad that we're all doing what we can do to make that happen. So I'm going to pass it off to Chase. He is our senior solar consultant. He has been with us for a long time. We really joined together because we felt like we had similar ethics and way of doing business. And I needed his help for the first Solarize campaign in Airport Heights. That's when it exploded. We went from 16 systems one year to 64 the next year. And it couldn't all happen for me, and I definitely needed help. And Chase has been charging ahead and been part of getting more solar on more roofs. So I'm psyched to have him as the program director for Girdwood. It's time for me to give some of these Solarize campaigns to my crew, and this is a great fit because of Girdwood and Chase and his history, which he'll tell you about. So Chase, go for it.
All righty. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Ben. Jeez Louise. Thank you very much. I'm just going to move the bar over here so I can get to my old. I'm Chase. Thanks for joining us today, and thank you, the Alaska Center, and thank you, everyone, for attending. Oh, boy. There we go. Yeah, I'm Chase. I am, as Ben mentioned, the program director for the Solarize Girdwood campaign, and I'm also the lead solar designer. And so what that means is I have both just an overall view of the project, but I'll hopefully everyone here signs up for a site visit, in which case we'll get to meet face to face, and I'll be involved with each individual solar design site visit and all that fun stuff. So I look forward to meeting many of you in person here soon. Quick agenda of what we're going to go over. I'm going to try to keep a very brief introduction, a sort of overview of solar in Alaska, overview of solar incentives, why solar, part of the reason solar has become so popular from sort of an economic standpoint, solar tech basics. Then we're just going to transition into Solarize Girdwood specifically. I'm going to explain the steps from signing up to a site visit to being installed, and then the party at the end of the year. I'll go through just a sample proposal just to give everybody an overview of what they can expect after they do the site visit and receive a proposal for their system. And then I'd like to run through quickly, we have great system monitoring. So, and I'll get to that, and then we'll finish up with a little conclusion and Q&A. Yeah, so my name's Chase. I'm born and raised in Alaska. I spent every winter weekend in Girdwood. It's a picture of my dad at part of the mountain you might recognize. It's pre-sits mark, pre-chair 3, and even you can see the blue chair there, very old school chair 1. So I was, dragged down whether I liked it or not. But needless to say, Girdwood is near and dear to my heart, so I'm really excited to be a part of the Solarize program here. After I went to college in Oregon, and after which I got involved with green building in the Bay Area of San Francisco, and developed a specific interest in solar, and I went down to, I volunteered in Nicaragua installing solar panel irrigation systems in rural communities there. And I just fell in love. I mean, I still think we'll go through the science of solar, but I still think of it as magic. And so, you know, some of you, hopefully no one is, but this is a question we get less and less, but I'm sure it's in the minds of some people. But, you know, especially they say, Chase, why did you move if you're from a solar career in sunny California to Alaska? And, you know, does solar even work in Alaska? And the answer is, of course, yes, it does. There's a number of reasons to explain why solar works in Alaska. The first one is a simple solar irradiance, which is just the amount of solar energy that hits the ground. So here's a comparative picture of Alaska and Germany. For those of you who don't know, Germany is the world's leader in grid-tied solar PV systems. Another reason why solar has really taken off dramatically, exponentially since 2015, 2016 timeframe is our high electricity rates. In 2017, which is the latest data I found on this, we were second only to Hawaii. At that time, the average price per kilowatt hour was 17 cents per kilowatt hour. And if you've looked at your bill lately, it's hovering closer to, between, 20 or 22 cents per kilowatt hour. That contrasting with the dramatic decrease in cost of solar over time, it's come down, price of solar has come down about 80% over the last 10 years. So it's been sort of mentioned, right around that 2014, 15, 16 timeframe. A lot of situations you could expect solar to outperform the stock market, and it became more and more obvious the economic benefits to installing solar in Alaska, in addition, obviously, to the environmental benefits. Another big factor is the solar tax credit. This was established in 2005. It was wildly popular. It's created a lot of solar jobs, installed a lot of solar in the country. It's gone through 2 series of extensions, and the really good news here is that at the end of last year, and a bit of a surprise, initially the tax credit was intended to go down to 22% this year and then be eliminated at the end of next year. And it was extended at last year's amount of 26% through this year and through next year before dropping down and then being eliminated after that year. So the tax credit, what that means is it's a 26% dollar for dollar tax credit against the gross installation cost of the system, including labor, materials, everything. So for example, if the system costs $10,000, you're going to receive $2,600 tax credit against your federal tax income liability for that year. There's no cap, there's no limit. And if you're not able to use the tax credit all in that first year, it'll roll over for as many years as the tax credit is around. Another big thing here is net metering. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of questions about net metering because, this is a federal policy. All the 7 major utilities in Alaska have net metering, and each state is a little bit different. And so I feel like there's a lot of confusion how net metering works in Alaska, but essentially net metering allows Chugach will install a bidirectional meter, a 2-way meter on your house that allows them to register not only incoming electricity, but also outgoing surplus electricity that's generated from your solar. And they track this on a monthly basis. So, as you look at your bill now, you say, oh yeah, they billed me for 500 kilowatt hours. Well, you'll still get those same kind of monthly billing statements, except it'll say, aha, but you produced 600 kilowatt hours. So you're not paying for any of the electricity you used. And then we're going to give you a credit for that surplus energy beyond what your home consumed. That excess credit is at what we call the avoided cost rate. So it is a lower rate than the retail rate, but that's after you've already eliminated your bill. And those credits are automatically applied to subsequent bills and they never expire. So it's not a bad deal at all. Another big reason is the added value that solar brings to property. There's a ton of very thorough scientific data you can look up on from the lower 48. Obviously here it's a little bit more anecdotal, but we have a very good source on this, which is the Alaska Housing Finance Corporation. And they've reviewed the appraisal value of homes that have included solar and have found out that the added value from solar is roughly equal to the cost of the installation itself after incentives. So this is pretty remarkable because everyone knows that, or hopefully we know that solar is going to reduce your electricity bill, but it's a home improvement that's basically instantly going to pay for itself, then reduce your electric bill and all of the environmental perks. So it's an important thing that's often overlooked is the added value to the property. The last thing I'll mention is Solarize, and Solarize is just another. It's been a very successful. Thank you so much to the Alaska Center for developing this program. It's not only created awareness and gotten a lot more solar on a lot more roofs, but it's allowed communities to do so at a discounted price. And so here you are in a situation where you have all of these incentives available to you, including this Solarize discount. So it's a pretty good time to think about solar if it's something that you've been thinking about doing. So just quick review here. Yeah, things I went through, and but I'm just going to move on. I think everybody gets it. Quick technical overview of solar. Again, excuse me.
Can I jump in for a moment?
Yes, please, sir.
We all forgot to mention that the chat box is there. Click on the chat at the bottom and ask any questions. We'll group them up and then take a pause and answer questions intermittently here. So just want to invite people to use the chat function. It's a big help in these Zoom meetings. So yeah, thanks, Chase.
Yep, thank you, Ben. And also, hopefully there should be links to sign up for site visits. And there's any number of ways, but there should be a link to do that as well.
I'll do that.
So a quick, just sort of technical overview. Again, I still, having been in this industry for quite a while, I'm still blown away by the concept of sunlight hitting your roof and creating usable energy to do with it whatever you want, including driving your car. But of course, it's not magic; it's science. Basically, the solar panels are made of cells, which are made of semiconductive materials, and light energy, photons from the sun, release electrons within the semiconductive material. They go through wires and are released in the form of DC electricity. In our case, we're using something called microinverters to convert that DC electricity into usable AC, and that's done at the panel level. Basically, that is run down to a breaker panel. Everybody has a breaker panel somewhere in their house, possibly at their meter, and it's distributed through the house, so you can use that usable AC electricity for whatever you want. Excess power goes out into the grid. So you're essentially a clean power plant. Anytime your system's producing an excess of what you're consuming, your neighbors are able to use that energy that you're producing. And then along those same lines, if you're requiring more electricity than is being produced by your system, there's a seamless draw from the grid into your home. Just quick overview of the components here. Everybody's favorite, solar panels. It's always so much fun to see these go up on any project. I kind of want to just show some pictures of projects so people get an idea of sort of what a modern solar installation looks like. You know, it's not a bunch of multicolored things. They're pretty sharp. They're black. Again, that's going to help with melting of snow and other things, and they just look pretty darn sharp. I like looking at them. Here's some other components here. So yeah, the solar panels themselves are connected to the roof, or they're supported rather by solar racking. The racking is connected at several points to your roof. All of these connection points are thoroughly waterproofed. Something important to keep in mind is the vast majority of solar in this country, and I believe the world, is rooftop solar. And so we're not going to SBS and getting, studs and nailing them into the roof. There's a specific product that is designed to integrate with every roof type out there. And so with every application, we'll be using something that is specifically designed for your roof type. And of course, several warranties supporting the installation, including one specifically for the attachments. This picture in the middle is that is a microinverter, and so yeah, that's the apparatus that converts the DC electricity generated by the panel into usable AC electricity. And then the picture on the right here is the whole thing right before panel's gone. So that's rack, rail, and microinverters. The last sort of component here is the electrical connection. And so, yeah, you'll have as mentioned, many TrueGatch systems already come with a bidirectional meter, and but nonetheless, there's a few code required pieces of equipment for rapid shutdown, and those are just safety measurements and signage and so on and so forth. But that's sort of what you can expect to see there. So yeah, that is basically the overview of solar, the general overview. And so now I just like to actually, maybe now would be a good time to just, if there's any questions as of now, we can kind of take care of some of those before jumping into the Solarize specifics.
Okay, yeah. So we've got a couple questions. Paula asked, are there alternate install locations if your roof faces away from the sun and a ground install is not wanted due to the deep snow, which is definitely a Girdwood thing. So Chase, you want to talk about different azimuth directions?
So yeah, and Ben, feel free to step in. It's not typical, there is a theoretical ideal situation for solar, but that's not common in the real world. And so even with less than an ideal situation, solar will work. It won't work as well, but that's all, all those kind of features are sussed out in the design process. There are quite a few different options that can be sort of examined in the design and proposal process, and that's sort of the intent of the site visit and design and proposal process, is just an opportunity for anyone considering solar to really wrap their heads around what each of these different potential opportunities looks like. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Ben.
Yeah, just to mention that west and east facing produce about 80% of what an optimal straight south would produce. And so, as Chase said, if you get a proposal from us showing us the best case scenario and that's good enough for you, then that's a good system. It doesn't have to be a perfect system. It just has to be a system that you want to put up and it matches your goals. And so we probably put 30% of our systems on west or east facing roofs, and a lot of them on the southeast and southwest. And I think specific to Girdwood, facing west would be fairly good because it's kind of blocked to the east. It's blocked a little bit to the southeast. So that opening out to the west is going to perform pretty well. And again, we're very proud of our proposal tool. Chase is going to show it to you. It susses out the ridges, it susses out the trees. It's going to tell you what each panel on each part of your roof is going to do. So it's an amazing piece of software.
Oh, this is Paula, since I'm the one that asked the question. So are you only restricting this to roof installations only then?
Absolutely not. We can do ground mounts or pole mounts. They just tend to be really expensive. The pile driver has to show up with a machine and put that in the ground, and that adds a lot of expense.
So I've seen, yeah, so I've seen in Anchorage, they're actually also installed on walls. There's some apartment buildings over on Muldoon that have them.
Right. Those get a lot of, those are really obvious, and they get a lot of attention because they're on a wall and they're big. They were installed often to get points to get better financing. They produce power as well, but they're part of this whole matrix of ways to make that project cost less. And it wasn't really about production. A wall will produce pretty well in certain circumstances if you don't have eaves and if you don't have trees, because the wall necessarily is lower than your roof. And so Chase is right just to say from the very beginning that the design process, the site visit, is really where the rubber meets the road. And we'll find the best solution we can with your site, and then you can decide whether that works for you. So, one other question. Wow. I'm not sure how to pronounce Weeda's name.
Hey, yeah, sorry. My name's Will. I don't know why it showed up that way, but yeah. So like my accountant said that if you have a duplex that I cannot get credit for the whole cost, I have to reduce by the percent of my home that would be used by the rental, which would be 50%, but that I can deduct the rental use over a number of years, and the deduction would not be as valuable as a credit, obviously. But I'm just wondering if you guys have heard of that before, if there's any way around that, what you can speak to on that, not being able to get a full credit if that's true.
Go ahead, Chase.
Well, let me ask you, is the duplex, does it have 2 meters on it?
No, all utilities are as one.
Good.
So I think, if I understand correctly, your accountant might be talking about 2 different things: the tax credit, and then you're eligible for something called Maker's 100% bonus depreciation on the investment. As far as so is you know, I would recommend, frankly, just talking to another accountant potentially, that usually for duplexes you're able to realize it, but it is sort of a case by case. I don't know if Ben has anything to add to that.
Yeah, I do. Boy, I hacked through this for a year with an accountant, and he researched and he went round and we went round and round. So the investment tax credit, the ITC, is for residential or for second homes, that sort of thing. There is a parallel tax credit that accountants often miss for landlord kind of situations. It's a different code in the tax code, but it's the same 26%. So in your case, you might be actually filing 2 different forms, each for 1/2 of it, but there is a 26% tax code for real estate that you're renting. So.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so relevant question from Wendy. Installed in 2016 and got a tax credit on it. Can we still get a credit on upgrading the system to a new system? Yes. Any new expenditure is still a solar investment. All right. Yes, Mitchell asked, can we get the slideshow emailed out, and we'll make that available. We'll figure out the best way to do that by the end of the show. So yeah. Go ahead, Chase.
Okay. So yeah, now just sort of jumping into the specifics of Solarize Girdwood. You know, as it's been mentioned many times, Solarize has just been a very effective way of getting people solar at a discounted rate. And there is obviously a very strong community, many strong community elements that are involved, but every single project will come down to the individual household or business, and everything will be customized to that project. And there'll be no pressure to go one way or the other. As Chanel mentioned, it just becomes sort of a yes or no thing of whether it's something you want to do. And if you do, then you're eligible for the Solarize discount. So here are the steps for Solarize. So first things first, like just sign up for a complimentary solar site visit. So what happens there is we schedule some time. I come out for 10 or 15 minutes. I look at what's going on the property, confirm that with what we're seeing in our software. We get a bill from you, and then we move to step 2, which is just designing and pricing a system for you. And typically we'll start off by giving you 2 and sometimes 3 different scenarios to kind of start you off considering. In some cases, that one of those might be the one that you're looking for, but this is all sort of an informative process. And so if you want to see different potential installations, let us know, and that's all just sort of part of the process. So reviewing the proposals, take your time. The enrollment period goes until August 6th, and so take as much time as you feel comfortable with to review the proposals before you make a decision. The one sort of caveat with that is that we install in general, not only with the Solarize program, but company-wide, we install typically systems and basically in the order in which our customers sign up. And so if getting your system installed earlier in the year is something that's important to you, and you're thinking that you definitely want to do solar, then I would encourage you to get the site visit and get a proposal and start mulling things over in the event that you want to move forward and get the system installed earlier rather than later. And so, yeah, enrollment is just as simple as letting us know once you've received and reviewed your proposal. Let us know that you're interested in installing, and it's a simple process to get signed up and get in the queue. And then Alaska Solar takes care of 100% of 100% of the process: permitting, installation, interconnection, monitoring, and warranty. And then, yeah, solar feels pretty darn good. One thing I'd like to mention too is that so with the caveat that all 6 participants are signed up by June 1st, the first 6 people or businesses or households that sign up for a solar installation will be installed by July 15th. Now, what that means is that we can guarantee to do our side of things, and that means getting the solar panels on your roof. It does not necessarily mean that your system will be activated, and that step of the process is somewhat out of our hands. That has to do with Chugach coming out, inspecting and activating the system, and they're great to work with, and but sometimes can be a little bit unpredictable with the amount of time that's involved with that. But our commitment is certainly, if you're signed up by June 1st and you're one of the first 6 people, then we'll have your system, the solar panels installed by July 15th. And that will be fun as well, because we're tentatively planning an event around Forest Fair and the good news event that indeed does happen, and just a little bike tour of all the installations that have been installed by that time, and the works in progress. So hopefully that all materializes. So we've talked about all the great things about solar, but I think a lot of people are obviously thinking about some of the challenges that are unique to this beautiful place that y'all call home. You live in a valley. There are huge trees everywhere. You get lots of snow, and you're in a rainforest that that produces some cloudy weather. And the short answer to that is, yeah, those are all factors that are going to contribute to your solar production. And sort of what Ben was talking about, we're very confident about the accuracy of our proposal tool. And we have, at the end of the presentation, I'll get to a review of the monitoring that each of you who install solar will have. And so you'll have this ability to measure the actual performance of the system with what is appeared in our proposal. And this is something that we do every day because we have access to the production data as well, and so it's comparative analysis. And so we have a tremendous amount of accuracy, or of you get what I'm saying. The proposal tool is very good. So I just wanted to walk through quickly what you can expect from sample proposal for each of the projects you might be considering. Very straightforward intro page. This kind of shows an overview of the design, obviously the position on the roof. The colors in the pictures there, those signify the available irradiance for each of the different roofs. So obviously lighter is better than darker. If you go up to the top left, a summary of system size, net system cost, first year production, and estimated first year bill savings. Right below that, you'll see two numbers. And so the first number is the amount of energy that your system offset from your total bill. And the number to the right of that is your savings on the electric bill. And the difference in that number is due to the net metering, Alaska's net metering laws. Below, it's just a summary of components in the system. One thing I'd like to mention is, a lot of people are probably wondering about cost, and one thing that's really surprising to a lot of our customers is how subjective sizing their system is, and it's really just based on their goals and their budget and their available roof space. So it's a pretty big range, I'd say, what a typical installation might cost, but I would say somewhere between $12,000 and $22,000 would be a rough estimate. And so, as sort of an addition to that, it's when we provide these prices, we have a policy of zero change orders unless it's a change in scope issued by you, the homeowner or the property owner. And so if there's something that we've missed and it results in additional cost, that is coming out of our pocket. And not yours. And so this isn't a rough estimate. This will be a contract installation agreement cost, and you can expect to receive 26% back from that via the tax credit. You have a couple different cash flows, just different graphic representations, and this shows savings over time and break-even point and stuff like that. I like this page, this top left graph. So that's a month, 12 months, and the dark blue represents consumption, which we will learn from your when we receive an electric bill from you. And the orange is the solar production over that same period of time. And so you have a visual representation of how the production will interact with your consumption. You have to the right of that your total electricity mix over the year, mix of solar and utility, and that is, again, that's the product of a number of things, including sort of your preference, what your goals are for the system, your budget, and your available roof space. Below that, both a kilowatt hour power production and dollar bill month by month of pre and post solar. This is sort of the last page of the proposal, showing your 25-year tax savings, your 25 internal rate of return, and your lifetime cost of energy. One thing I'd like to point out about that middle number, the 25-year internal rate of return, unlike a traditional investment like a stock or certificate of deposit or something like that, which might have a 10-year interest of around 8%. This is tax-free, so it's 8% of a traditional investment is not as good as obviously a tax-free, 8% on a tax-free investment. And then I love this page. This just shows some of the other benefits of your system, including an estimate on miles avoided driving, acres of forest, and pounds of coal over 25 years. Are we doing okay on time?
We are at 6:53.
Okay. Yeah. I'm almost done. So I'll just run through monitoring really quick, and then we'll go to questions. So yeah, here, as I mentioned, everyone who installs solar who has internet will receive monitoring. And this is a popular pastime with a lot of our customers. Morning sort of ritual, seeing what the system's producing. So the orange squares, that is the panels as represented on the roof. So it's recording in real time the production of the system on a panel by panel basis. It maintains that data throughout the lifetime of the system. And so here on the top here, so here's an actual actualization of some of these environmental protection benefits: carbon and gas offset, trees planted, total clean energy produced by your system year after year. And then finally here, this is a really great graph. So as I mentioned, this data of your production is maintained throughout the lifetime of the system. And so you can see the color-coded thing for the number of years down here. And so as time goes on, you'll see these more and more color-coded lines pop up there. And you can see how the system is producing year to year, and which I think is pretty fun. So yeah, that's basically it. Like I said, this is I like Ben said, the Solarize programs are just so fun, and a big part of what I love about my job is getting to meet different people in different communities, and I can't thank the Alaska Center enough for all their hard work that they put into these programs, and also for all the communities that have been involved. So thank you all. And with that, I'll just like to take, I guess we can take some more Q&A.
Yeah, before we jump into that, people may need to head off to other things. In the chat, we've posted the link to sign up for an assessment. That's really the next step. So if you're ready for that, or if you have a friend that couldn't make it to this and they don't have to come to a meeting, they can just go straight to the assessment, and we'll explain all this during that process. And so,
yeah, that's a really good point to stress too. Is again, this is a simple process, and there's no like real order. Or if there is one, it's to sign up for a site visit. They don't have to do one of the workshops or anything like that if they don't want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. So yeah, Q&A, go ahead.
Heck yeah. So we'll be running Q&A at a first come, first serve. That said, I think Emma, was it? Yeah. Emma Kramer asked, will it be possible to install solar and use batteries instead of connecting to the grid?
Right. All right, I'll be the bad guy. We don't do battery systems of full off-grid. But I want you to be able to take care of the Solarize. We can sell you the solar panels and the racking at a discounted rate. We'll be there in town with trailer loads of this stuff, so we can give you some of the components at a great rate. We're shipping it up all the time anyway, so we can get the majority of the materials to you. And so, yeah, feel free to contact us about that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Excellent. Next, Eric Steinfurt asks, what happens when it's going to be roof repair or replacement time?
You want me to go? Yeah.
So
go ahead. Or I can
yep. So one thing I sort of haven't mentioned is just sort of the lifetime of these panels. they're warranted for 25 years, and that warranty guarantees that after 25 years, the panels are still guaranteed to produce at least 85% of what they did in their first year after 25 years. They're going to last 40 or 50 years. And so that is much longer than the lifespan of any typical roof. And so replacing a roof with solar on it is pretty much as common as solar is itself. And so it's a pretty straightforward labor process. I would, in that event, if you're replacing your roof, you tend to call us. We'd uninstall the system, the new roof would go on, and we'd reinstall it. And it's just labor. Nothing needs to be permitted. The rail is already cut to length. As a courtesy, we would probably replace the attachments with fresh ones. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward process, and it would just cost the cost of labor, and that cost would just depend on the size of the system.
Eric says, sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah. Another mention on that